In this video, OBB, Onyx Black Bird, will be knocking out two birds with one stone. No pun intended. Or should I say all pun intended? Anyways, I'm going to talk about the myth of the non-gender conforming homosexual. Um, Non-gender conforming is one of the many terms because the gay community deals with a massive amount of word manipulation. Cisgender, what's that? Cisgender, bio women. I mean, they got all this stuff, man. Like all these words. But we're going to talk about something that sticks out to me. And it's almost comical because it runs into how I tend to kind of think. And that would be non-gender conforming. Look at the picture in the thumbnail. How exactly are we going to be born a man and conform to being a woman and call ourselves non-gender conforming? In the lazy tongue language of English, look out. Always keep your mental alert or your red flags on fleek or on their mental poles to be ready to raise. In the English language, whenever you hear somebody say or express a singular one thing with many words, because it's common in English that we do just the opposite. We try to take a bunch of words or either a word that's very long and we attempt to shorten it, even if we have to change letters, to make that word shorter. So whenever you hear the term non-gender conforming, and that's a lot of words, just to describe a homosexual, what's really happening? Look, there's something that they don't want to say. Man born male pretending or biologically altering himself to be a woman or just a gay person. You get what I'm saying? Because a gay person automatically sparks certain things in the minds of people in society. You may not be naturally living, and the word natural is what they want to avoid. You may not be naturally living as what you were biologically born as, but you're altering or conforming to another gender. Overall, you are gender conforming. You're just not conforming to the gender, or you're just not living natural to the gender that you're born as. Because you don't have to conform to the gender that you're born as. A penis is very clearly a penis. A vagina is very clearly a vagina. I do not know a bunch of women, or any woman, not so much as a single one, even if she took hormones to become something that looks more like a male, who was ever able to impregnate or even penetrate, even with a very large clitoris. A woman can't penetrate into another woman, and a man cannot impregnate another man, you know. So gender is not anything that you are conformed to. It's something that you're biologically born as naturally. You get what I'm saying? And what it reminds me of, as I wrap this video up, is atheists. Because something that you always hear atheists say is that, they don't believe in God, that they believe in science. But the thing that I would maintain is that belief is belief. Because here's the devastating flaw in the atheist argument. Hear me and hear me well. The devastating flaw is, are you as educated as the scientists? If a scientist tells you that a continent-sized asteroid is headed toward the planet, but it's going to miss us. It's going to miss us by 50,000 miles, but we are going to feel that whiff. Okay, you would have to just believe what that scientist is saying. If the day come that that asteroid was supposed to whiff around the planet and it didn't, how do you know there was an asteroid out there? If you don't have a telescope, if you don't have a degree in telescopy or astronomy or whatever science it is associated with the sun, the moons, and the stars, you can't validate anything whatsoever that a scientist is saying. That's just like a DNA test. Do you know how to read DNA strands? You can't validate if you are Irish, a German, and a Native American, or a black, a Dravidian, and a Irish. You can't conform that. I mean, you can't confirm it. You're not as educated as the scientists. So at the end of the day, science is just as big of a religion as a religion. You've got to believe in both of them. And having to believe in both of them is the one thing, regardless of how intellectually high and mighty you think you are above a person who runs around foaming at the mouth and passing out, passing out on the floor of a church, regardless of how much better and, more intellectual you think yourself to be, you're ultimately doing the same thing that they're doing. You're believing. You can't validate the beliefs because you're not as educated as the scientists. So atheism is just another religion. It is a belief in science. The scientists are your gods. That's all I had to say about that, man. But it is what it is. It's funny to me that they do what they do and say what they say, because I just can't emphasize that. I mean, if we're talking about animals, do you know that science says that a hyena is closer to a rat or a mongoose than what it is a dog? I've looked at so many documentaries on hyenas, and man, there's times in which those things come off as the savage dogs in your granddaddy's backyard who lives out in the country down there in Alabama. I mean, seriously, they look just like it. But according to science, well, better yet, I'm confused. Actually, a mongoose is close to a cat, or a hyena is a form of cat. That's what it is. It's a cat. It's actually a cat. It's a mongoose. It's like a mutated mongoose cat. And a mongoose looks like a damn rat. This is what scientists says. Anybody looking at a hyena would say, that thing is close to a coyote or a dog, man, or like a wolf. Very similar. I mean, how could you draw a difference? But scientists looks at it and says, it's closer to a cat, or a rat, a mongoose. Anyways, science is religion, and you are conforming to a gender if you conform to any gender. The only non-conforming gender person would be a person who, I don't know, like didn't use their genitalia. I would say that maybe a monk. I heard a feminine monk one time. He was like a monk, but he was feminine. So he doesn't have any sex, he doesn't pursue women, and he has a feminine voice, but he's a man. I would say that's a non-gender conforming person. He doesn't have any type of sex. He's not trying to make himself sexually appealing to anybody that's either male like him or female not like him. He's born a man, but he sounds like a woman. That would be your true non-gender conforming individual. And that was actually like 5 years ago that I seen that video. The guy was a monk. I don't know. Look up lessons in Buddhism and you'll probably run into the dude. Anyway, if I can find the video, I'll link you to it. You can just look at it for the fun of it. And, maybe you'll understand what I'm talking about. But anyways, conformity is conformity and science is religion. I'm out.